Throughout history, a handful of conquerors have risen above all others, shaping the world through sheer ambition and strategy. These were not just rulers. They were visionaries who built empires, toppled civilizations, and forever altered the course of history. This is part 3 of our Greatest Conquerors series. William the Conqueror, born in 1028 as the illegitimate son of the Duke of Normandy, faced a tumultuous rise to power. Known as William the Bastard, he inherited Normandy at just 8 years old, fighting off rebellions and rival claims to secure his position. But William wasn't content with just Normandy. He set his sights on England. In 1066, after the death of King Edward the Confessor, William claimed the English throne, asserting that it had been promised to him. However, Harold Godwinson seized the crown, prompting William to act. He assembled a formidable Norman army, gained the Pope's blessing, and launched the historic invasion of England. The decisive Battle of Hastings in October 1066 showcased William's military genius. Using tactics like feigned retreats to break Harold's lines, William achieved a resounding victory, with Harold falling in battle. This marked the start of Norman rule in England. To consolidate his power, William built castles, including the iconic Tower of London, and crushed resistance with ruthless efficiency. His most notable administrative achievement was the Domesday Book, a comprehensive survey of England's lands, enabling effective taxation and governance. William's conquest forever linked England to Europe, introducing Norman culture and transforming the English language by blending Old English with Norman French. His legacy as both a conqueror and a reformer reshaped England's future, leaving a lasting mark on its history. Ashoka the Great, born in 304 BCE, was the third emperor of the Mauryan Empire, one of the largest and most powerful empires in ancient India. Initially, Ashoka's rise to power was marked by brutality. After his father's death, Ashoka ascended the throne in 268 BCE, consolidating his rule through a series of military campaigns, including crushing rebellions and defeating rival claimants. His most infamous conquest was the Kalinga War in 261 BCE. Though victorious, the war was devastating. Over 100,000 soldiers and civilians died, and the carnage deeply affected Ashoka. Witnessing the suffering firsthand, he experienced a profound transformation, turning away from violence and embracing Buddhism. Ashoka devoted the rest of his reign to spreading the principles of Dharma, or righteous living. He built hospitals, schools, and roads, creating one of the first welfare states in history. Ashoka also promoted religious tolerance, encouraging harmony among different faiths within his empire. His policies were inscribed on rock and pillar edicts across the empire, many of which survive today. Ashoka's influence extended beyond India. He sent Buddhist missionaries to Central Asia, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia, laying the groundwork for Buddhism to become a global religion. Ashoka ruled until his death in 232 BCE, leaving a legacy of peace, compassion, and governance that reshaped the subcontinent. His reign is remembered as a turning point in Indian history and a model of ethical leadership. Ivan IV, known as Ivan the Terrible, was born in 1530 and became the first Tsar of Russia in 1547. From the start, his life was shaped by turmoil. His father died when Ivan was just 3, and his early years were spent in a court rife with betrayal and power struggles. This chaotic upbringing likely fueled the paranoia and ruthlessness that would define his reign. As Tsar, Ivan's early years were surprisingly progressive. He introduced reforms, established a centralized administration, and expanded Russia's borders into Kazan and Astrakhan, defeating the Tatar Khanats and laying the groundwork for Russia's future as a multi-ethnic empire. He also established the Streltsy, Russia's first standing army, and reformed the legal code to strengthen governance. However, his reign took a dark turn after the death of his wife, Anastasia, in 1560. Consumed by grief and paranoia, Ivan began his infamous Oprichnina, a reign of terror where he created a private police force to root out perceived enemies. Noble families were exiled, tortured, or executed, and entire towns, like Novgorod, were devastated under his orders. Despite this brutality, Ivan continued to expand Russia's territory, pushing into Siberia and laying the foundations for its vast empire. He also cemented Moscow's role as the center of Russian culture and politics. Ivan's reign ended in chaos. In 1581, he killed his own son, Ivan Ivanovich, in a fit of rage, leaving Russia without a strong heir. When Ivan died in 1584, the country plunged into the time of troubles, a period of instability and civil war. Ivan the Terrible's legacy is a paradox. While his conquests and reforms shaped Russia into a powerful state, his ruthless methods left scars on the nation's history. He remains one of the most controversial figures in Russian history. Hernán Cortés was born in 1485 in Spain and grew up during the height of European exploration. Ambitious and adventurous, he set sail for the New World in 1504, seeking wealth and glory. By 1519, he led an expedition to the Yucatan Peninsula in what is now Mexico, a journey that would cement his place in history. When Cortés arrived, he encountered the mighty Aztec Empire, ruled by Emperor Montezuma II. The Aztecs were one of the most advanced civilizations of their time, with their capital, Tenochtitlan, rivaling the great cities of Europe. Cortés, with fewer than 600 men, faced an empire with tens of thousands of warriors. Yet, he managed to forge alliances with local tribes who resented Aztec dominance, using diplomacy and cunning to turn them into allies. Cortés's arrival in Tenochtitlan in 1519 was met with awe and suspicion. Montezuma welcomed the Spaniards, believing Cortés might be the god Quetzalcoatl. However, tensions quickly escalated, and the Spaniards took Montezuma hostage, effectively seizing control of the city. In 1520, a rebellion forced Cortés and his men to flee during the Noche Triste, Night of Sorrows, with heavy losses. Undeterred, Cortés regrouped, rallied his native allies, and returned to lay siege to Tenochtitlan. The city fell in 1521, marking the collapse of the Aztec Empire. Cortés's conquest was brutal. Thousands died from warfare, starvation, and diseases like smallpox, which the Spaniards inadvertently brought with them. Despite the destruction, Cortés's victory established Spanish control over Mexico and reshaped the Americas forever. Cortés ruled as the governor of New Spain for several years, amassing great wealth but also facing political struggles with the Spanish crown. He died in 1547, leaving behind a complex legacy. To some, he was a visionary conqueror. To others, a symbol of colonial brutality. Darius I, known as Darius the Great, was born in 550 BCE and became the third king of the Achaemenid Empire in 522 BCE. His ascent to power was dramatic. He overthrew an impostor claiming to be the son of Cyrus the Great and solidified his rule through both military force and clever political strategy. Under Darius, the Persian Empire reached its greatest territorial extent, stretching from modern-day Turkey and Egypt to parts of India. One of his most notable achievements was the creation of an efficient administrative system. He divided the empire into satrapies, or provinces, each governed by a loyal official, ensuring effective control over vast and diverse lands. Darius also revolutionized the economy. He introduced a standardized currency, the gold daric, which facilitated trade across the empire and beyond. To connect his territories, he constructed the Royal Road, a vast network of roads that allowed messages and goods to travel quickly across the empire, an innovation that strengthened both commerce and governance. But Darius was not just an administrator, he was a conqueror. He expanded Persian rule into Thrace and Macedonia, bringing the empire to the doorstep of Greece. However, his ambition led to conflict with the Greek city-states, culminating in the famous Battle of Marathon in 490 BCE. Despite his loss in that battle, Darius's campaigns set the stage for the Greco-Persian Wars, which would define the era. Darius was also a patron of monumental architecture. He constructed Persepolis, a magnificent ceremonial capital, and completed projects like the Suez Canal, connecting the Nile to the Red Sea and facilitating trade between Persia and the Mediterranean. Darius ruled until his death in 486 BCE, leaving behind one of the most powerful empires in history. His vision, organizational genius, and ability to unite diverse cultures made him a ruler whose impact is still felt today. Kublai Khan, born in 1215, was the grandson of the legendary Genghis Khan and one of the most influential rulers of the Mongol Empire. While Genghis built the foundation, Kublai expanded and transformed the empire into a global power. In 1260, Kublai became the Great Khan, and by 1271, he had established the Yuan Dynasty, ruling over China as its first Mongol emperor. Kublai's rule was revolutionary. Unlike his predecessors, who focused on conquest, Kublai sought to integrate the diverse cultures under his control. His empire stretched from the Pacific to Europe, encompassing China, Korea, and large parts of Central Asia. He embraced Chinese traditions, adopting Confucian principles to govern while maintaining Mongol customs, creating a unique blend of cultures. Under Kublai, Beijing became the capital of the Yuan Dynasty, symbolizing the unification of northern and southern China. He invested heavily in infrastructure, including expanding the Grand Canal and establishing a vast postal network, facilitating trade and communication across his empire. Kublai's reign was marked by his ambition to conquer beyond China. He launched invasions of Japan in 1274 and 1281, but both campaigns ended in failure due to typhoons, later called the Divine Wind or kamikaze by the Japanese. Despite these setbacks, Kublai maintained his dominance over East Asia. One of Kublai's most significant contributions was fostering international trade. He reopened the Silk Road, connecting East and West, and welcomed merchants like Marco Polo, whose accounts of the Mongol court fascinated Europe and bridged cultural divides. Kublai ruled until his death in 1294, leaving behind a transformed empire. Though the Yuan dynasty would fall a century later, Kublai's legacy endures as a ruler who united vast territories, fostered cultural exchange, and reshaped the world. These 6 conquerors weren't just warriors. They were visionaries who reshaped the world in ways that still echo through history. From William the Conqueror's transformation of England to Kublai Khan's unification of East and West, their legacies remind us of the power of ambition, strategy, and leadership. Which conqueror you think is the greatest? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories from history. Until next time.